Hey everyone, this is Nick from Mossy Creek with this week's fly fishing forecast. Today is Monday, July 22nd. For the first time in a while, since I've done the recent report, we actually have some gauges rising. We got a little bit of rain last night and this weekend, so we are trending in the right direction. We've got some good forecasts for the next few days. I'm cautiously optimistic that we'll get some of that. So I'll talk about that more in a second, but before we get going, just a reminder, we will have the truck out on the road this weekend. We're going to be at Hardywood in Richmond. We're going to be at the West Creek location, not the downtown one, so make sure you got that right if you're coming out. But we'll be bringing the truck out there. We did that for Father's Day last year, had a blast. It's a beautiful facility. If you haven't been out there, the beer's awesome. We'll be there all day. As usual, we'll have the spooling machine. So if you have a reel, need a new line spooled up, bring that out. That's something we can do. The truck's loaded with waders, boots, apparel, flies, leader, tippet, you name it. We'll have all of the rods that we carry there. We'll have reels spooled up for casting. So if you want to come test cast a new rod, we'll be doing free casting lessons. So if you need a little tune-up or want to bring a friend who needs a tune-up, we'll be doing that all day for free. So come on out, hang out, have a beer. We'll bring some goods to you. We're happy to accommodate anything that maybe isn't on the truck, or if you want to pick an order or something up. We'll be packing the truck up on Friday, so if you have any kind of special requests like that, let us know before then, and we're happy to load that up on the truck. So hope to see you guys out there. Like I said, that's this coming Saturday, Hardywood, West Creek. If you want something on the truck that might not be there, let us know beforehand. So back to the forecast. Okay, so looked pretty good now through Thursday. Almost every day we've got like an 80% chance of rain or thunderstorms or something like that. Last I looked, they were calling for like 1/4 to a half tonight, 1/4 to a half tomorrow. We'll see kind of where that ends up. But we had a nice soaking rain last night. I walked outside today and like my yard was actually spongy, which I haven't felt in a long time. So we're good and saturated. Any rain we can get this week, I think we're going to see good effects from that. So the bigger rivers, as well as like, let's see, South River, North River, some of those gauges were all going up. Not huge, but we're seeing some bumps and flows, some positive in the flow, which we haven't seen in a while. So, keep your eye on the gauges. If we get anything really heavy, we'll let you know. Looks like we could have some chances of some severe storms popping up. Anything like that on top of the soaking rain is going to be huge for a lot of our water flows. So getting a little bit more specific, you'll see some of the mountain streams did get a little boost in flow. I would say it's probably not enough, for really good brook trout fishing. We're probably still looking pretty marginal in a lot of those smaller mountain streams. So we'll still recommend, your spring creeks, your tailwaters, that type of fishing is going to be your best bet as far as trout fishing goes. We had some great reports last week from Mossy, Beaver, the Jackson, South River, Spring Run, those streams that hold good water, even in lower flows, have been fishing really well. Those are going to be your best bets. The terrestrial fishing's still been great. Trico hatches in the morning, beetles and hoppers throughout the day and through the afternoon. We haven't talked about streamer fishing a whole lot lately, but if you look outside today, it's really overcast and rainy here at least. Looks like that's going to be the case through most of the week. It's been sunny and clear for weeks. Fish have been spooky. It's been really technical. I'm thinking about throwing some streamers the next few days. These fish haven't been pestered a lot with streamers. Overcast rainy days are great, especially if you can hit one of these streams after a big rain. Hopefully in the next couple of days we're bumping water flows or some color. Could be some really good streamer fishing. Like I said, fish haven't seen that in most places for a while because we've been so keyed in on dry flies and dry droppers and that kind of thing. So just something to think about. Hopefully we'll get a good flush or two from a big storm. Some of these streams like Mossy could use some brushing, getting some of that algae and stuff out of the way just to clear the stream up, make it a little bit easier to fish. Hot tip I was thinking about that I've been doing a lot the last few weeks on the spring creeks, Mossy specifically. A lot of times if I'm fishing and I see a fish actively rising, right? I'm walking up the stream, I see a head pop up, I stand there, I see it over and over. It's a fish like actively feeding, actively paying attention to the surface. if I cover him with an ant, a beetle, a hopper, whatever, the dry fly I think he might eat, you know, I cover him for a while and I can't get him to eat. Maybe he's coming up and looking, but I'm having a hard time actually getting to eat. One thing that I'll do oftentimes is I'll take that fly I'm fishing, I'll put like a foot of tippet below it, something kind of short, light tippet, 5, 6X, depending on the fly I put on there. And I'll fish a real small dropper just barely behind that fly. A sinking ant, like we have these epoxy ants, the transparent is a great little fly for that. It's an ant, but it sinks just below the surface. Or say a unweighted pheasant tail or a prince nymph, something like that. Sometimes those little meals right off of a beetle, when a fish is up there feeding around, they don't see that very often, and it can be a real quick decision and an easy meal for them. So a lot of times those picky fish I can't quite get to come up and eat my dry fly, putting that little dropper on can be the ticket. So, you know, as usual, it's nice to be able to see your bigger fly you're dropping it off of, just as something to be able to see it, because those droppers might be so small. If he eats it, a lot of times you'll see your beetle or your ant go down and know to set the hook, but a lot of times they'll eat very subtle. So if I'm watching and I can actually see the fish, I'll look at the fish. If I see his mouth open or if I see him move his head, I'm just gonna assume he ate that dropper and I'm gonna set. If it's not in the fish's mouth, no big deal. I'll go right back into a back cast, throw it back, and we're good to go. So try that little tip, put a little dropper on your dry fly if you're working a fish and having a hard time eating them or getting him to eat. You'll find that that might do the trick for you. It's worked for me over the years. It's one of my favorite ways to catch them. So if you try that and it works out, let me know. I'd love to hear it. Going back to our warm, bigger rivers, smallmouth fishing's been great. We got a small bump in flows on the South Fork, so we'll just make floating down it a little bit easier. Not enough where it's like high or muddy or anything yet. That could come later in the week. If that's the case, we'll let you know. But just a nice bump in the flow to make it easier to float. Maybe a little watercolor so it's not as spooky for the fish. We've been doing great fishing, clawdads, critter mites, you know, crayfish and hellgrammite patterns, deeper stuff in your faster, deeper runs, and then topwater bugs, whether it's a cork bug, a popper, a foam, damsel, whatever it is, in kind of our slower pace water, shade lines, that sort of thing. So bass fishing's been great. With the low clear water, we've been able to sight fish some carp and some catfish. It's always fun. You know, you get the spooky nature of the river when it's in that condition, but you also get to see a lot. You get to see those channels and the way the river looks. It's a great time to kind of map out these sections of rivers you floated, because a lot of times you can see bottom or structure in places you can't normally, and get a better idea of why those fish sit in certain places. So as always, you know, give us a call if you want to try something new, you want to get out there and need help going to that place. We're always happy to help. We'll keep you posted if there's any major water changes. A lot of times big gauge bumps or pictures of streams we'll put on our stories on Facebook and Instagram, so keep an eye out on that, and we'll keep you posted. So hope to see you at the truck this weekend. As always, if you have questions, give us a call, but we look forward to talking to you next week. Thanks.